Good day, everyone. I am Shakpriya Avellana, and my group and I will be discussing today about Community-Based Disaster Risk Reduction Management, or Cbdrrm, for preparedness, emergency plan, early warning systems, and survival kits and materials. During disasters, the community is perceived to be the victims, which is truly un-Filipino. The Bayanihan spirit of the Filipino is apt for bigger things, thus forming Cbdrrm, or Community-Based Disaster Risk Reduction and Management, is basically an entrusted DRRM to the locals within an area. Cbdrrm empowers people by recognizing and emphasizing the value of communities and local organizations. If we leave disaster preparedness to NGAs or national government agencies, there will be a number of issues that will hinder the all-over safety of the population. For example, they are limited by budget and organizational capabilities. The community is an endless pool of human resources, which the Cbdrrm can tap readily and respond to local problems and needs. Cost-effectiveness and sustainability of activities should be expected when these are conducted by the local people. By entrusting the DRRM to them, the technical and organizational capacities of communities are enhanced.
Thank you, Fear. So, for the next topic, it is about the participants in Cbdrrm. So, for the participants in Cbdrrm, these are the local people, the organizations with the national government. So, Cbdrrm engages communities not only in DRR but also in all phases of the disaster management cycle. It aims to create resilient communities which are able to reduce their vulnerabilities and exposure, and at the same time enhance their capabilities before, during, and after a disaster. So for the next topic, it is about the various stakeholders and actors in the Cbdrrm process. So shown in the figure are the members of a community and Cbdrrm partners from the government and international sectors. So meaning every individual, family, organization, business, and public service entity within a community must assume that they have a part or a role in reducing disaster risk. On the other hand, agencies such as United Nations agencies and national government agencies are responsible in providing various forms of support. It can be in technical, material, or financial support for a community-based DRRM efforts in order to reduce their vulnerabilities and enhance their capacities. So that is all. The next topic is going to be discussed by Ms. Catherine Rayos.
Cbdrrm in school. Educational institutions are indispensable actors in community-based DRRM. Students fall within the most vulnerable sectors of the population. Yet, because of the nature of the school and students, they could also be the most potent agent not only of disaster preparedness but in all aspects of disaster management cycle. Take this for instance, how local universities can participate in research of various social and scientific aspects of hazard. When students conduct earthquake drills or fire drills, the knowledge and skills they acquire are transferred directly to their families and to their communities. Students are the future hazard scientists, social scientists, and leaders who will one day take the lead in the various stages of disaster management cycle.
Now we're going to tackle the planning and organizing of the earthquake drill. So in this section, there are 4 things to take note. First is the formation of the Disaster Risk Reduction Management or DRRM team, wherein the people involved in this team are in charge of the first aid, rescue, security, evacuation, and communications. Now second, we have to designate an overall coordinator wherein the coordinator shall see to it that the copies of the most recent school grounds maps and building floor plans are available. For the third, we have to perform activity before proceeding. Now here, the DRRM team should inspect the school grounds and buildings for unsafe conditions in case of earthquakes. And lastly, invite a competent personnel for a brief orientation to inform students about the integrity of their school buildings.
Are the things you need to do and need to take note of when developing the school earthquake evacuation plan. Take note that before starting to work on the school earthquake evacuation plan, each team and its members should get a copy of the school maps. The first thing you need to do is to designate an open area for each class as their assembly points. This designated area should be safe from falling objects that may cause injuries. Second is to indicate on the map the dangerous points which should be avoided during evacuation, like hanging unstable objects or structure, power lines and utility poles, block or narrow corridors, exit points and alleys, classroom doors that swing in instead of out. In that way, we can all safely evacuate and reach the designated area safely without further injuries or casualties. Third is to indicate by arrows the route students should follow from their respective rooms to their designated assembly points. It is important to take note of all the possible safe routes so that you can reach the designated area safely. Next is to make sure that all students, teacher, and school staff are oriented about the evacuation route so that they will know what are the things that need to be done when an earthquake occurs and what are the things that they need to do when the earthquake stops so that they can go to this assembly area safely. And lastly is to prepare for an earthquake survival kits and first aid kits so that we can act immediately when there's a person injured and the response can't go to the place right away so that we can lessen the damage or the further casualties that a person can experience.
So, orientation prior to the conduct of the drill. There are certain things that we should make sure. For example, we should make sure that the location of supplies are marked on the map, that the kits are in easy to find locations and somewhere that is unlikely to be covered with debris during an earthquake. Also, these emergency safety kits should contain the following: water, canned foods, medical supplies, a battery-powered radio, flashlight with extra batteries, first aid kit, a rope, blanket, candles, matches, tissue papers, and tools like wrench, pliers, and a hammer. If we have students with special medical conditions, we should ensure that their medical needs are met or can be met with the items in the safety kit. So the kits should also be checked regularly to ensure the freshness and quantity of supplies. We should also bring photos of classmates and family members because during the search and rescue operations, these may be used. We should also check if the students did the following preparations. If they have covered the lessons on the nature and origin of earthquakes and safety measures before, during, and after an earthquake. They should also know the duck, cover, and hold routine, and they should have conducted an off-campus educational trip for an orientation by one or more of the lead agencies for the hazards. If you are unable to conduct an off-campus educational trip, we can invite resource personnel from the agency to conduct an orientation. So since we are conducting an earthquake drill, one of these trips should be a trip to PhilVox monitoring station located in our area. However, if we are unable to conduct an off-campus educational trip, we can invite the PhilVox resource personnel to our school for an orientation.
Now, let us discuss the actual conduct of an earthquake drill. Knowing how to execute the plan of the earthquake drill is necessary in order for us not just to know the knowledge, but also know how to perform the knowledge of earthquake drill. The drill should help them diagnose any glitch which should be corrected. Practice makes perfect. If drills are done annually, the students will be able to perform automatically during an actual earthquake emergencies, when the human brain is not likely to function as well. Here are some of the things to remember when conducting an earthquake drill. First, prior to the scheduled drill, let the DRRM team inform the neighborhood. Second, ask the DRRM team to assign observers along the routes, at the exit point and at the assembly areas. Then the observers will take down notes for reporting about the earthquake drill. So there are 6 different phases when conducting an earthquake drill: the alarm phase, response phase, evacuation phase, assembly phase, head count phase, and the evaluation phase. First, the phase 1, or also known as the alarm phase, wherein it simply alerts the student about the onset of the earthquake by using the school bell or fire alarm. Next is the phase 2, or the response phase, wherein the duck, cover, and hold occur. First is the duck down to the floor. Next is to take cover under a sturdy table or desk. You can also use your bags to protect your head as long as it is not too heavy. Then is to hold on to the leg of the desk or table until the shaking or alarm stops. Take note that the duck, cover, and hold technique is the only effective preventive action that everyone can do to survive an earthquake. Always remember to move away from windows, glass, or anything that might hurt you when it breaks, falls, or topples. If for some reason you fail to get under a sturdy table or desk, crouch and try to protect your head and other sensitive parts of your body, such as your neck. Dangerous objects and possible panics during an earthquake event could be overlooked during the evacuation planning stage. Next is the phase 3, which is the evacuation phase, wherein when the shaking stops, everyone should get ready to evacuate the school buildings. The route indicated in the evacuation plan should be followed, and the students should gather at their designated assembly areas. Then, the phase 4, which is also known as the assembly phase, wherein the students must gather at the assembly point according to the grade, level, and section as indicated in the evacuation plan. Next is the phase 5, which is the head count phase, wherein the teachers or class presidents should make a roll call to check if somebody is missing. If so, the search and rescue team should check the whereabouts of those missing. Those needing medical attention should be attended by the first aid or medical teams. Last, the phase 6, which is the evaluation phase, wherein it identifies the problems encountered that may pose difficulties in a real earthquake situation in schools. Students and teachers should then aim to find response or solutions which shall be part of your recommendations. The earthquake response plan shall be submitted to the authorities through your teachers.